On Monday, February 17th, William and Mary students from the NAACP and Teach for America teamed up to participate in the annual March for Educational Equity.
The ultimate vision of the NAACP is to create a society where no racial, economic, or political discrimination exists at all. We strive to accomplish social justice, social equality, political, economic equality. And so this march definitely ties into that vision. When we think about educational inequality, we think that is one of the main causes of other infractions and other social injustices. So we have lack of educational opportunities that leads to poverty. And so we look at these things and we see the disparities that occur in African American communities, communities of color, compared to other communities. And so it's a huge injustice, and it's something that we need to talk about, and it's something that we need to advocate for, and that's part of the reason why the NAACP is involved with this march today.
I'm a part of this march on behalf of Teach for America. Teach for America is a core of leaders and social justice advocates who begin their commitment to social justice by serving at least 2 years teaching in low-income neighborhoods. I am a 2014 core member and the campus campaign coordinator for William & Mary, and I'll be teaching in New Mexico next year, special education. And I became a part of this movement because I believe that education is a tool to build social justice advocates, and I think that the color of your skin or the neighborhood you live in should not determine your ability to succeed. It should not limit you from reaching your maximum potential, and that's why I'm here today to march for educational equity for children of all races and socioeconomic statuses, as well as all levels of abilities. I particularly am passionate about working with students with disabilities.
Well, obviously NAACP aims for equality for all, and so this march is indicative of that. We hope that we can have educational equality for all people, no matter what race, sex, age, whatever. And so that's obviously ties with the mission of NAACP, what we aim to do, especially since the children are so integral to the growth of the United States of America. So obviously this march is going to impact us on this campus as well as in the Williamsburg community, and hopefully that movement will spread throughout the U.S.
I think that education is important to everybody. I think it's a resource in which people can better themselves and better their families' situations, especially in the African American community. I think that African Americans in the classroom is very pivotal. A lot of times there aren't males present at home, and so I think that it's very important to see African American males educating and being able to be accessible, especially to our young African American students. So I believe that's a resource that everybody should be awarded.
I am here with Teach for America, and I am participating today because unfortunately reality in our country is that the outcome that you have in life is too often determined by the zip code into where you're born. And that shouldn't be the case in society today. We should have everybody getting an equal education so that not everybody has to go to college or has to do something in life, but every student, regardless of their race, their background, where they're born, should have the opportunity to make the choice to go to college or not. So that's why I'm here.
And with that, students began their trek across campus by way of Jamestown Road.
Education is a right! Fight, fight, fight!
The first stop on their journey brought them to Jamestown Field, where law school student Devin Bates shared his experiences with Teach for America.
So, I'm Devin. I was a 2009 Mississippi Delta teacher with Teach for America, and I graduated from college, went down to the Delta, and I taught there 1 year. And at the end of my first year, I was approached by my superintendent, and I had to answer a very difficult question. She asked me if I'd ever thought about school administration, and I thought she was kidding because I'd only been teaching 1 year. But I felt like there was so much more I could have done had things in school been in order. There were a lot of problems in our school, but one of the biggest ones was violence and kids. We'd have a lot of kids that would end up getting pushed down in the hallways. We had some students that would end up in the hospital, and so when you have a kid that's going from one class to another and then they don't make it there and they go to the ER instead, obviously there's a problem and it gets in the way of education. And so there are a lot of things that I wanted to do to help make the school a better place, but one of them was to address that issue. And so brought a lot of teachers together with this, take students, talk to parents, just building a coalition of people that want to see the school change and make it a better place. And there was nothing that I did that was entirely me. I mean, it's all about teamwork, bringing people together. But that's what I did. That's my goal down there. I ended up staying in that role for 3 more years, so I spent 4 years there altogether. And at the end of my time being there, once again, it's not just me, everybody working together, but we were named as one of the top 10 most improved schools in the state. So obviously what we had done, something was accomplished here. And after doing that job for a while, I realized there are other things in our society, policies, laws, that I want to see change that I think would make schools and education better. And so after working in the Delta for 4 years, I'm here at William & Mary now as a law school student, and I'm in law school obviously, and I want to go back to the Delta and to make a difference down there.
Next, students made their way past the Fimdel to talk with Africana Studies professor Robert Vincent about why he decided to teach at William & Mary.
I was interested in seeing a black male professor standing in front of the classroom. But I just remember feeling like a thrill to see somebody that looked like me in front of the classroom in a position of authority, right? And I thought to myself, that's something I want to do. I want to do that. And so I went to graduate school at Howard University, and there were a number of black male professors there. And my work is in African history, African American history. So this is history of black people. And I was being taught by mostly black people, mostly black men. And that was a really empowering experience to have not just an academic relationship, but a personal relationship with men, black men, many of whom had sort of gone through similar paths that I was walking through. It was a sort of a personal touch. So after I graduated, the feeling was, well, why don't you teach somewhere like at Howard, or another HBCU or historically black college and university? And I said no to that because I remembered my experiences at a predominantly white institution. And I said to myself, well, there are probably many black professors at a place like Howard, right? I'm probably more needed at a place like here, where there are very few black professors, particularly black male professors, right? So that had a lot to do, my own experience had a lot to do with why I chose William & Mary, why to teach here, and how I see my role. Not just to disseminate information, but also I know that there's probably somebody in that classroom who was like me 20 years ago, who wanted to see somebody that looked like them and who they felt that could relate to them, not just on an academic basis, but on a personal level, right? So part of my reason for being here tonight is also part of my larger program to encourage other black people, particularly men, to think about being a professor, because it really does matter.
Students then proceeded to march past the Sadler Center to convene at the final destination, Blow Memorial Hall, to hear from Project Phoenix Saturday Program Coordinator Laura Godwin.
I volunteer with Project Phoenix, which is a tutoring and mentoring organization at the college. It's one of the 3 educational programs that we do in OCE. So there's us, Lafayette Kids, and CPK, and we tutor at least 1 day a week at each of the middle schools, and then we do mentoring aspects of the program, which happen on Saturdays. 20.3% of the kids in Williamsburg live below the poverty threshold, which is shocking when you look around Williamsburg. It's such a nice area. And there's 102 homeless Williamsburg, James City County students, which also is a shocking number. And one thing the OCE likes to do is we have Brown Bag Friday, so people come for lunch, and we have people from the community come in and share what's going on in Williamsburg. And so this Friday they're actually going to be talking about the homeless student population. And these are kids that are really affected by really who's in the schools with them. So if their teachers are caring about them, if they have mentors or guidance counselors that are caring about them, we call them coaches, that work in the Williamsburg, James City County schools with kids that are underachieving or just at risk of dropping out or have hard home lives. The first girl I ever tutored at Berkeley Middle School was from China. She didn't speak any English at all. And so I had no way to communicate with her because I know absolutely no Chinese. But it was my job to help her do her homework, which she also didn't understand because she didn't speak English. So for the first semester, we communicated through Google Translate on the computer. She would ask me questions and I'd type it back into Google Translate. To watch her improve throughout the year was amazing. By the end of the year, she was holding full conversations with me in English. That's actually been one of the greatest experiences that I've had, is getting to see more from an administrative level what they're doing to help the kids that are in our program.
From Williamsburg to the Mississippi Delta.